How'd you weather through the storm?
Rather well. Our military training taught us well. I bulked up on video games this Christmas, and it paid off this weekend and last weekend. Was it last weekend too? It was like 2 weeks now of this stuff, ain't it? But yeah,
Yeah.
I prepared. I was good.
Oh, that's good. That's
Hunkered
good.
down.
Yeah, I got. I mean, we did go to basic training. Literally at the. We were in there.
Yeah,
We went there
winter
at the
time.
end of fall, transitioning into the winter. We were there from October to January. Actually,
Yeah.
our 11-year boot camp anniversary just passed on the
Yep.
17th, was it, or the
7 years
13th? The
already, man.
13th. Yeah, it's been 11 years, man. 11 years since we've known each
Crazy.
other. That's kind of interesting, right? And
Time flies.
who would have ever thought that we would be talking about artificial intelligence today?
And here we are talking about artificial intelligence today and the next day and
Yeah,
the next
you know
day
what we
and the
do?
next
You
day.
know what? I'm probably going to conjure up an episode that I'm going to probably get an episode on AI military technology. I think that would be super interesting to do.
And I bet you they got some feelers out there for that stuff. I'm
They
sure
do.
chatbot didn't come out of the woodwork with this just on their own. There's defense, uh, you know,
Yeah.
defense budgets, money,
Yep.
all
And
that money,
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 money.
money, money.
Everybody likes money, even AI
We like
apparently.
money.
And it's
Yes.
interesting too because I've been seeing a lot of there's like some of the best AI generators are free, and then some of like
So far, the good ones are.
or affordable at the
Mhm.
least.
Yeah.
And some of them, the ones that you pay for are just like so damn ridiculous, but it is what it is. But today,
You're right about the affordability though. The Midjourney was nice because it was like $10 a month.
yeah, it really is. They had Midjourney's great. I'm still a huge fan of them. But today we're talking about something that we really enjoy, and we're talking about video games and the use of AI in video games. Within the last couple years, it's been getting very interesting how interactive and how immersive a lot of games are getting. We just had the release of Starfield. You have Cyberpunk. A lot of the more recent, like Fallout 76, has a little bit of AI where some of the characters move a little more fluently and a little more smoothly, which is really cool to
Yeah,
see.
they've had a lot of time to fix their stuff too, and that shows. They really went back and fixed their problems.
Yeah, and it's interesting because like we always felt there's always been like some kind of AI in video games, something to
Hmm. Hmm.
or well, coding, coding.
It would coerce you enough to think it was AI.
Yeah.
Like it's a very simple term. It's just a very simple form of AI. I mean, NPs.
Yep. Yep. And the first thing I want to talk about is like NPC behavior and realism, and this is a big thing that we've gotten to see in video games lately. Um, One thing that is super important to me, I am a role play player. I role play in
Hmm.
communities like Red Dead Redemption, Grand Theft Auto. Right now, I'm doing Fallout, which is super fun to do. I need you on the PC, Strobridge. I need you on the PC.
I'm back on it.
Yeah, we got to get you. Get you a gaming laptop. That's what we got to do. We got to get you a gaming laptop. You'll get all the power you need.
Now for its time and place back 11 years ago, because that's the anniversary. I bought this laptop right after basic. This was top of the line. That's still pretty good considering it's a touch screen from 11 years ago. It's a Sony Vaio. They don't even make those
Oh my
anymore.
God,
Okay.
you have a
So,
Sony Vaio,
yeah, yeah.
and
This
oh,
baby, she's a little slow. She's a little slow waking up, but give her credit. She's
Sony
been
Vios were
giving me,
used to develop games too, which is super cool. But when you play a
yeah.
game, so I know some of the games that you're like you're much into games like myself, RPG games where you get to immerse yourself. How important is it
Mhm.
to you when you play a game and you see a character doing something instead of just standing or staring at you?
Well, we're both seasoned athletes in the gaming realm, and like back in from to see us start from like Atari, Nintendo to where we are now, you kind of want to see a really good evolution at that point. That's like what, 20, 30 years for us?
Yeah,
So,
you're
yeah,
absolutely
I want
right.
to see a little more involvement with a dude in a butcher shop. I don't want to just see him staring in a corner, just what is that thing do, If he is, have a dialogue with him at least and be like, "Why are you staring in a corner, dude?" There'll be an answer for it now. It's just like it's more involved. Like if you're gonna have these entities in games, have them serve a purpose other than just um, eye candy.
You're right. You're right. Instead of something just so like one really good example is like some of the Rockstar games. GTA 4
Hmm.
was a really good game. But then you had GTA 4 you had characters that would stand there. They'd probably do the little, they would swerve around and stuff like
Hmm.
that. But GTA 4 made it look better. But a perfect
Hmm.
example of like immersive NPCs are two games: The Elder Scrolls V Skyrim, which is one of Bethesda's greatest games, and Red Dead Redemption 2. So playing games like that, when you walk like and I'm bringing up Red Dead. I'm going to talk more Red Dead Redemption 2 because even on the game that game is old now. Like
Right.
um,
And I even haven't, and as old as it is, I haven't really gotten into it like you have. So that's cool that you can fill in the blanks for me. And I mean, I
yeah.
have played it
So
because
Red
when
Dead
did that game?
it came out
When
in
was that first available
2018.
on? PS2?
No, it came out
Oh,
for the
19.
yeah, it came out 2018. So this was more like the Xbox,
Oh, 18.
you know, ending of
Okay,
the Xbox
not clear.
360, Xbox next gen era. So that's where we are.
360. Okay,
Well, I
okay.
actually no, I don't think it came out for 360. I'm pretty sure it went straight to Xbox One. And
Hmm.
when you first play that game, you see the first, you're walking around and you see characters and they're smoking, they're drinking water, they're cutting a hole in the ground, they're robbing people, and it's just so realistic. And for me, it really puts me into the game itself. You know, As,
Do they stare back at you like they would if you were going back in time to that period and just
yeah, they
kind of
do,
people just kind of look if you're, yeah, okay. That's
they
good.
do.
That's a likeness that they should have, in the Old West. I'm sure people looked at each other a little more, you know,
Yeah, so I mean,
what's this
there's
guy
a
doing
lot of
here?
really cool behaviors that the NPCs do, and with GTA 6
Hmm.
coming out, I mean, I've seen, if you've seen some of the leaks that were released, unfortunately, I mean, it's hard not want to be curious about some of the things that they show in some of these leaks. And in this leaks,
Yeah.
they were the police officers. Their AI is so smart now. They go behind cars for cover. They'll open up a door and use it for cover. It's very interesting. Some of the new things that are
Logic.
coming out.
Huh. That's crazy.
Yep. The next topic in this is adaptive difficulty levels.
Well, from what you just showed me with that video before this, those adaptive ability levels are getting better and better, at least as far as what that was for.
Yeah, and it's
I don't
so
know what
cool
you're gonna
because
refer to.
we've always been used to easy, like very easy, medium difficulty, hard, extreme, or whatever that game's theme of like an extreme or survival mode. Like for Fallout, it's survival
Hmm.
mode. Uh,
Yep.
very very interesting.
Nightmare mode or survival mode, zombie mode. Yeah, they got.
Yeah,
Yep.
exactly. And so it's so when you choose these different difficulties, you can imagine the layers of coding and algorithms that are put into making these things because yeah, you're looking at the same thing but they have different behaviors like what we were just talking about before, like NPCs. So but now one of the biggest things that's been happening in the last couple of years is like new game pluses.
Like with
It's like
Uh,
like with Starfield, but with see, and that, and
yeah.
I'll talk about that in a second, actually. So, like a new
Okay.
game plus, like for example, one of the first times I've ever used a new game plus was for Batman Arkham Asylum, Arkham City, actually,
Okay.
Arkham City.
Yep. If you want to go way back, I think Zelda was like that, wasn't it? Wasn't there a plus game for Zelda, the original
There,
Zelda?
I, I I know that there was a new one that for the newer ones there is like a new game plus style mode. I forgot what it's called, but
Could
but
be imagining that,
you're
but
starting the game over, but with all your perks, all
right.
your gear and things like that, and you're more prepared for the enemies and stuff that
The
come your
next
way.
level, yeah.
Exactly. So
Next challenge of
it helps it that matters in gaming. Being able to have the technology to make a video game challenging, because that is what we want in a video game. We want a game to be challenging, like games like Portal.
I don't want to fall asleep to a video game. That's not what I paid for.
Exactly.
That happens. So, yeah, I don't want that. That's sad when that happens.
Yeah.
That's what movies are for.
Now, one game that's very popular in this realm is Left 4 Dead. That's a very popular game in the horde space. I was a huge fan of it, and then we
Hmm.
have Back for Blood and things like that. So, I mean, one thing that I like about this side of gaming is player engagement. You have players who are just starting the games, and then you have veterans of the game space who are coming in and kind of mastering these things. Then you have the developers finding new ways to make it harder. What are some of your favorite things that you have experienced in these newer games that provide AI with difficulty levels?
Well, I think the difficulty just in the storylines is getting better. Like it's getting more elaborate.
Yeah,
It's not cookie cutter anymore. It's just like with the Star game. God, why I can't think of the name of it. I'm
Starfield.
getting old. But Starfield, thank you. And just how the storylines in that can have evolved too. Um, yeah, people don't want to spend $60 on games and beat them in 20 hours. They really don't.
No, you're right.
And uh, a lot of the time when I'm playing a game, I might skip through some of the dialogue. Doesn't mean I don't want it. I like seeing that, but I like having the option to skip through too also. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah.
So our next one is procedural content generation. What comes to mind when you think of content generation with AI in video games? What do you think that means?
You said procedurals. There's some kind of procedure to it, so I would think there's some kind of filter going through it. I don't think necessarily that's, I think marketing for some reason.
Well, we have the word
I don't know.
content,
Maybe
yeah,
it's
but
I'm
but
off.
this is more. Um, so perfect example is No Man's Sky. Have you ever played No Man's Sky
Okay.
before?
No, but
So
I know you have.
a lot of people compare like they try to compare and contrast No Man's Sky with Starfield, and where in No Man's
Yeah.
Sky you can actually fly in and out of the planets. There is endless space travel and an endless amount of planets.
Hmm.
Starfield does have procedural content generation. From planet to planet, there are other things that happen in these worlds. But No Man's Sky is the
Right.
perfect example because it extensively employs procedural generation. It generates plants,
Oh, okay.
creatures,
Okay.
landscapes,
I
and
see
it
what you're
it
saying.
has an almost infinite like variety of environments, and things continue to grow and become new in this world. And
Now, it
it's
didn't always start out like that, right? Like the game originally was kind of, it had uh,
it was smaller.
DLCs going to it,
Yeah,
stuff. Yeah.
it was
Okay.
smaller.
But the way they've evolved, it's been somewhat quicker than, say, Starfield.
Yeah. So what do you think that there are any benefits to this? Like do you think that this is something that could constantly be used in gaming to bring more immersion to the games that we play?
Definitely, definitely. It's sad that we have to use space games to do this though, because they're right with Starfield. Like in outer space, there's a lot of space. There's nothing there. So really, when you're playing that game, you're really experiencing planets and space and stuff like that. Hello, hello, hello. No one there. Now, I don't know about the No Sky because I haven't played it, but from what you've told me, it's definitely a lot more evolving. Like there's plants growing on the planet and stuff like that. You don't see none of that. It's pretty stagnant, pretty standard when you get on a planet in Starfield. Now, if they fix that, probably, but they're kind of not going the same speed as other games have when they've evolved their aspects of the game.
Absolutely. Next is smart enemies and opponents. So one thing that's super cool when you're playing the game is like so some of the later Call of this is one good example is like Call of Duty or Alien
Mhm.
Isolation and games like Fear where enemies show realistic and strategic responses. You know, so some of the AI's behaviors, so like enemy coordination, right? You shoot,
Yeah.
you shoot a guy behind the wall. Actually, I have an even better example. 6 Days in Fallujah.
6 days in Fallujah, huh?
So 6 Days in Fallujah has so when you're fighting the enemies, correct? You have so
Hmm.
6 Days in Fallujah is a first-person shooter set during. Oh my god, I'm having a brain fart right now. Which war was that? 6 days.
Is this a recent one? A recent game?
It's a recent war in the Second Battle of Fallujah. Which war was that? So the Second Battle of Fallujah was Operation Phantom Fury, and it was the American-led offensive of the Iraq War that lasted 6 weeks. So in this game, you are put yeah. So
Oh.
this game, you are put into the heart and soul of that war, and so when you're fighting those enemies,
Hmm.
the light is super low. So if you're going into rooms, you can't see enemies. But if you shoot them, they'll go back, they'll hide, they'll flank you, and things like that. So the AI in this game is super super smart, and it will find
Spot on.
yeah. So if you shoot it and it goes down, it'll pull out its pistol. It'll start coming after you. Super smart, you know. So for me, I think it's super important that that brings immersion. If I'm in this game and I see that happen, I don't want an easy enemy. You know, and I think that this
Right.
goes for a lot of gamers too who play games like this. We don't want it to be easy. We want it to be tactical, we want it to be realistic, you know, but we don't want to be
Realistic is
there.
the big
We
thing.
don't want to
Yeah.
be there for 40 minutes doing the same thing
Right.
when there are other activities to be done during these moments and these events and these games.
Now, have you seen that video? And I don't think it's a specific game for any console. I think it's just some AI thing they've been using where they're like in a uh, rundown mill or something like that. But it's a video game, but it's so crisp. It looks like me and you right now in the video, you know, it's like that real. And you're walking around with it. And I just wonder
Is that the
if
one? Is that
we
the
can
first?
get to
Is
that
that a
level.
first person shooter with a pistol? Oh, that's Unrecord.
Yes.
That game looks
Okay.
amazing.
That right there. Now that's where we should be at. Now everything else that goes along with that, like the NPC, like you were saying, guys hiding behind doors and stuff, that needs to get up to that standard as well.
I
All
agree.
that kind of stuff needs to group together and be the perfect game. And it's all there. They just need to put it all into one game, not
Bingo.
little chunks here and there.
Bingo. And
Not
now
little
here
here. Well, we'll throw it in this game to try it out, and we'll try it in that. No, throw all your great ideas into one and see what
I
happens.
like it.
I like it.
It's actually
I like it.
interesting because I like when we see what happens because the next topic in this is voice and natural language processing. So games like Mass Effect, Skyrim, Starfield especially, you know, their dialogue systems when you play these games, Fallout 4. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to look this up. How many lines did Fallout 4 have? Fallout 4 had 111,000 lines. Skyrim had 60,000 lines. So when you play these RPG games, it's a very RPG centric episode, because a lot of the AI does work on most of these RPG games that we're playing today and now.
But that's before the AI too, though, right? Those games, that's all pretty much a dude or a woman writing that stuff up in code.
Yeah, yeah, and now
That's amazing. 60,000.
and 100 and 111 for Fallout 4. And you have
Yeah.
the one thing that I really love playing the game is quests. The quests are there for a reason, especially like what one of our like my favorite game series. I'm pretty sure it's yours too, Fallout. You walk
Hmm.
around and you talk to other characters, and each character has a different
Like you
dialogue
would in
depending on yeah,
a situation.
and so your dialogue changes depending on your perks, on your morale, whatever it may be, and that's the same thing with Red Dead Redemption 2. And it's awesome that the algorithm or the characters that you're speaking to, the NPCs, can read your morale, your stats, so that it knows. Like that's to
Oh,
me that's impressive.
that's cool.
So like
You look sad.
yeah, yeah, exactly.
What's the matter, buddy?
And that was a big thing with
Yeah.
Starfield too. That was a very huge thing in Starfield where you're talking to someone, and you'll be like, "Well, what's troubling you?"
You get the one you're walking by them all the time. You know you don't have to wear a helmet here, right?
Yeah, that's right.
That's a good one. I love that. You don't have to wear a helmet here, dude. We're on the planet now. We can breathe.
Yeah, we're good. We're good. Next is
I'm setting a fashion statement, okay?
so the next one is dynamic storytelling. So games like Detroit Become Human and Heavy Rain, they are these are games that I'm not familiar gameplay wise, but
I wanted to play that one, never got to it.
but again, we're going to come back to Bethesda here. It's all about highlighting moments where player decisions lead to branching storylines and multiple outcomes. And to me, one of the best examples of this is again Starfield.
Hmm.
You know, it's so interesting. Again, I keep on saying it's so interesting because AI is just so interesting to me. How again, morality, choices that you make, if you're sad or happy, the AI will know, and it
It's the
will.
people you hang out with too, though.
Yeah. So Red Dead Redemption 2 probably is the perfect example because the decisions that you make from the very first choice that you're given
Hmm.
reflects all the way to the end of the game. Think about that for a second.
Fallout was a little bit like that.
Yes, yes,
76 was
yes,
like
yes.
that.
Well, Fallout 4 was kind of like that, and Fallout 4 was very much like that actually, and even Fallout 3.
Hmm. It's been so long since I played 3, I can't even
I
remember it.
I love an enhancing player experience. I
Yeah.
like putting myself into the cockpit. Kind of like you remember in Men in Black, the little alien that was inside the dude's head. That's what I am to this character. And that's what I shall
Right.
continue to be.
Right.
Realistic animation and motions is next. Perfect example: Assassin's Creed. Assassin's Creed has some of the best motions in a video game I've ever seen in my life. What do you think? Do
It
you?
is awesome. Oh, I only have one little gripe about that game. I love those games.
Yeah.
But when you're climbing up walls and you're running around and you got detected and stuff, and I don't know, maybe it's just how I play. I've gotten sloppy or something. But I always end up climbing up onto something I didn't want to or running into something that I didn't want to, and I'm just trying to get away. I said turn the corner. How was this a corner and stuff like that? That was my only gripe, like controlling it. The gameplay, the storyline, all that stuff, those are awesome. I love them. But yeah, the evading part, I've never been impressed with.
Hey, that's okay. That's okay.
But that's realistic, I guess.
It's. I mean,
That's how evading really is.
the move.
Sometimes you get away, sometimes you
So
get the crap
it's
kicked
gotten
out of you.
so cool to be able to see how technology has gotten to the point, like motion capture technology, and you have the actors actually doing the roles.
Oh yeah.
Perfect example. James C. Burns.
You talking about the suits?
Yeah, so James
The
C.
suits they wear?
Burns, he's a perfect example because during the time of the original Black Ops, motion capture was starting to become a thing, and a lot of these actors were it was very foreign to them. They had no idea,
Mm-hmm.
and so. And this was actually interesting because I actually interviewed James C. Burns about this, and he said it was a different time, and to be able to, you could do the part, you could be the part, do the role, and then have the
Yeah.
AI layer it together to make it look better. It in the words of Todd Howard, it just works.
It just works.
It just
Now, is that
works.
around the Matrix time period, or was that before that?
We could throw that in there.
Up that time period?
Yeah. And so the next thing we have here is behavior analysis. So I'm trying to find the right words to say
So I
this.
have an idea with that.
Okay, let's
So
hear it.
if we're gonna start having cameras with our video games and stuff like that, watching us back, they will start watching our facial expressions and maybe utilize that more with AI. If it's back and forth. Like they use that stuff for Instagram and stuff now where they look at your facial expressions and kind of hone in on what you like and what you don't.
Yeah.
They'll utilize that in video games.
Yeah, well, it's super interesting too because let's say, and this comes with with marketplaces too. So you buy,
Hmm.
let's say you're playing a game like Fallout. Actually, no, Fallout doesn't. I've never
Okay.
seen Fallout do this, to be honest with you. But Call of Duty, you buy a certain pack that sits at a certain theme, and it comes up. Bam! It's right there. Come and buy this pack, which is
Okay.
sick because you bought this one. Come and check this one out based on your
You'll like
similarities,
this.
and then kind of like that kind of goes into the way too, like we were saying before. Like with Red Dead Redemption, depending on your morale, it it tells the coding and the algorithm how everyone around you should behave.
Right, and it shows how much you want to be involved or not. If you just kind of want to walk around and gather stuff, then it's
Yeah,
probably not going to give you as many quests. But if you like you're one of them people who are just like gung ho, get your missions done in a certain amount of time, it's going to throw some new stuff at you that this person might not have got.
yeah. Do you think that there's any ethical considerations of AI analyzing player behavior?
Ethical. Well, if we're talking the positivity side of it, and that these cameras do come into play with video games down the road, I could see them benefiting people that during gameplay might have health episodes.
Yeah,
Like they're always saying, like some certain video games have these signs that come up, say, might cause seizures and stuff like that. Well, what if they did with one person? Well, you got a camera sitting right there, and I think you could tell the difference between a seizure and someone just kind of having a good time playing a video game. So that could possibly help out. And if like they're playing with other players and they got videos up like me and you right now,
yeah.
I can see how you're playing and if you're all right. If you're laying in your seat like this, I know something's wrong, and the AI will probably see that as well, and we can notify the ambulance,
Well, that
or the
I can't remember the
proper.
name of the game, but there is an AI game out there right now where you can speak to other NPCs and you have conversations with them like you're walking on the street. I have to look into that.
Mhm.
Next is AI in game design and testing. So I can imagine that it's rigorous.
Years of rigorous.
Years of just oh
Well,
my
it's just like writing a story for a movie or something like that. You got to go back, rewrite, get a new idea. This didn't work. Go back, rewrite. A lot of organizing, cutting, pasting, editing, editing,
yeah.
editing, editing, editing.
Yeah. And so so another thing I hear so I before I get to like the last topic, so there are some technical implementations of AI in video games, and that involves creating algorithms and systems that simulate intelligent behavior in non-player characters or opponents within the game. Some of the aspects that I have of AI in video games is like pathfinding. AI characters need to navigate through the game environment. So they need to understand, just like we do as people, we need to understand our environments, what's around us. If something happens, where do we run to? Where do we hide? Does this place have a secret hole, a tree, a hole in the tree?
Mm-hmm. Hmm.
You know, so some algorithms such as A star are commonly used to find the most efficient path from one point to another while avoiding obstacles. There's also decision making. NPCs need to make decisions based on current game states. FSMs or finite state machines and behavior trees are often employed to model decision making processes. But these structures help determine the NPC's behavior based on its current state and environmental factors. They also need to learn algorithms. If they're going to be walking around and learning and be reading player behavior, they need to learn algorithms too. They probably should learn. Just like our characters have like skill trees, these characters should too. Just like companions in Fallout,
Yeah,
like in these Bethesda games, and
definitely.
Starfield, you build up their skill tree.
That's actually a good point. You don't want to see a guy at the start of game. He just opened up an Apple market and it's not doing so well, and you beat the game and he's still struggling at the same point he was at the beginning of it. You want to see a
Yeah,
little progress with everybody.
absolutely. Um,
You know,
and enemy AI, which we spoke about, it is crucial. Techniques like rule-based systems, decision trees, neural networks, they can all be used to model enemy behavior. Dynamic difficulty adjustment can be employed to dynamically adjust AI on difficulty based on the player's skill or performance, and this ensures that the game remains challenging but without becoming too frustrating. You
it'd
know,
be interesting to have a game too where like you start out as your main character in every game, but what if you just decide you don't want to be the main character anymore and just walked up to an NPC and decide to be them
yeah,
for the rest of the game?
and one of my favorite
I
things
mean, you can
about
have teammates. That's true about games like that, but just walk up to me like, I want to trade places.
yeah, and then like there's also like one of my favorite things of memory and awareness, how like the npcs often need to have a sense of memory and awareness, so like they might remember past interactions with a player or react to the changes in the game environment over time. This is a Red Dead Redemption thing where if
Hmm.
a small interaction that you have with someone for 5 minutes, you could come back in the game a later time and they'll remember you and you'll speak to that specific character, and it's really really cool because again these are things that are based off the decisions that you make with the help of AI. These just I could imagine how long it would have taken if it was just coding to get us there, but now we have the help of AI helping us generate these algorithms to make a better player experience. And one
And
thing that
that's a lot of what the AI is doing right now too. Is it's just taking things that we had a hard time doing because there's so much you got to do with it, and it's just like speeding it up for us.
absolutely. And then
All
like
the
there's
data and stuff like that.
and then there's the collaborative AI in multiplayer games. It enhances the multiplayer experience. Fortnite is very popular for this. Overwatch is
Oh
very
yeah.
popular for this. Ever evolving environments, new experiences, NPC. It's all part of the mash and the potatoes.
Hmm.
Like Overwatch, it uses collaborative AI in multiplayer settings, to help coordinate team actions, adapt to player strategies, and enhance overall team dynamics. These are things that the AI helps do. It contributes to intense and strategic multiplayer gameplay.
It's a hyper organizer.
It really is, and it's a whole it's worlds colliding, and it's almost
Hmm.
it's almost kind of like you're making the cake, but you can't find that last recipe, and like AI was that last part of the recipe that we needed to be able to move forward in the gaming industry, and it's
You know,
so exciting. It's so exciting, and with new
there's only so much a human can do.
yeah, and with new games coming out like GTA 6, I'm pretty sure somewhere down the line we're gonna get a Bully 2. Imagine what that's going to be with these new out with these new AI tools.
Hmm.
There's so much to look forward to and so much to be happy about, and I couldn't be more excited to see what's next.
We're and that's like we're just at a crossroads right now because a lot of people would say like games are kind of boring right now. Well, when they are like that, that means we're at another crossroads right before we get another good chunk of good gaming for a while. It's that's kind of what I've noticed over the years is like we'll have these. really great times of gaming, and then there's just like a lack of like you got some of your great games that keep you going through the years, but longevity.
Absolutely. And yeah, man. So here we are at the end. I want to thank everyone for listening to another episode. We appreciate everyone who came back and listened to our first episode back. It was a hit, and it shows that we were missed. We appreciate everyone who comes by and listens to the show every week. Come and support the show. We would like to upgrade our how do you say this? We want to upgrade this podcast, so we want to be able to do more for you guys. We want to be able to have better AI experiences, and to do that, if you guys, if you're more than interested, we have some new merch available in our merch shop. You can go to our link tree www.com slash www.com www.linktree.com/ the artificial mind podcast. Thank you so much. You have any final closing statements?
I just love the fact that we keep growing in other countries. That's really awesome, considering I've never been to most of them. So the
and
fact that
and
I'm getting
probably
through to
never
these
will.
other
You know
places, yeah, right, right.
that
Just awesome. I love hearing from you guys.
absolutely. Yep. And guys, we'll see you next time. We'll see you in 2 weeks, and
Two
we'll
weeks.
have another exciting episode for you guys to have. And as far as the merch goes, we have a couple T-shirts available and postcards. So make sure you get some postcards and all that stuff. We love
And
you,
those postcards are pretty cool.
and
Those are
remember,
wicked.
AI is here for you. It's not here to hurt you. It's here to help. So long.